Yo, what is good, everybody? What is good, yo? So, with this episode of Radiant, I was pretty convinced we were going to see the teachings and stuff happening, but from what I can tell, I guess they really want to take it the authentic slow route with this grow on this character, which for me it's fine. Um, with 21 episodes, I believe that this series is supposed to go on for. Uh, if they just rush into him being like God's, the God Slayer of, the Radiant, all this stuff, um, he's going against things that even his master, who is very skilled and powerful, and could hold her own against these things. He's going against things that, she was going against, but somehow he's supposed to even go against the mother of them all, or wherever they're supposed to be, coming from. He's supposed to go against all of it, which, I mean, one comes down and you fight it, and that's about it. This is a whole different situation where you could be fighting for days on end trying to just get to the main source of the problem. So, I'm really happy they're taking this time to flesh out this character as much as possible because most animes are learning that people want this. Most people are learning that, we want to learn what the characters could be all about. What are some of the things that could make the character, go against everything that he might find to be true? All these different things are what we're learning in these previous episodes to the sense of we know just how much it means to Seth, to really be able to go against this Radiant and defeat it and whatnot. But not only that, to, let everybody see wizards in a different light where if you don't want to live in this place where you have to get charged an arm and a leg every single freaking time you you know buy something or need to eat or need to sleep or any of that stuff, you can probably go down to the ground surface if you weren't such a hated wizard down there. So I think that's really what's going to be taught amongst everybody is just to how to understand, sorcerers and to make sure that they're put into a better light is really what Seth wants this whole time. So to think that that's going to be the end game of it all would be pretty nice, but at the same time, it almost seems too good to be true with how some shows end up playing out, which that might not be the case with this one. It feels like a carefree show, like it's supposed like that. Whatever his goals are should come to fruition, So that's just my take on it though. I don't know if everybody else feels the same way as me, but when I see a show like this, I kind of see them giving the main character, a little bit as if not if this all of it what they've been working towards, what they've been fiending for to succeed. And maybe even if it doesn't norm necessarily finish this whole entire season and we see just, we see just enough of things happening, we can still understand that through all the process that this guy Seth is going to be putting in, that everybody is either going to, love this kid, hate this kid, but what they're going to know him most for is for destroying the Radiant, and I really hope that that thing even exists at this point because everybody's still calling it a fairy tale. But when you hear Yaga, the guy who is supposedly going to train Seth very soon here, talk about it, it sounds like it has more validity. It sounds like it just has more like likeliness that it actually exists because someone's actually talking about it with a serious tone. They're not just like, It's a fairy tale. You should forget it now. Like, just throwing it out there. He seemingly has the feeling that it's real. And for Seth to pretty much be running around the city and, talking to Doc, trying to learn how to do meteor drop, um, we get to see that not only does certain stress, like, people being rude and stuff like that, get to the main girl that's on Seth's team that he's going to be rooming with now. Um, we now know that she gets, into those type of stress situations when she also can't help people, which I think is going to be a very important part of what what they were, spouting about when it comes down to her feeling like she's useless and all this stuff. I feel like maybe that curse is going to be a truly a blessing at some time when it comes to maybe teaching her non curse side, quote unquote, how to, do some ridiculous types of defensive spells if that is truly the only thing she can do, or if it's just the thing she feels like she can only do because, she's probably been told differently, like, oh, you can't do anything because of you're trash, or how characters literally listen to the worst person role model ever and take their word as law, type of deal. So I could see that being one of these situations where she's just literally taking the worst people's advice that you know don't really care for her, don't really care to see her be happy and stuff like that. I can see her believing in whatever they're telling her, like, oh, you are scum of the earth. She's like, well, you're probably right, like that's just the type of like vibe she gives me when she doesn't seemingly fight for herself or necessarily care to fight for herself. And maybe that's where Seth is going to come in. And we've already seen that the girl who's kind of like evil, she kind of has a soft side for Seth because he wants to learn magic. And not only is he treating, the evil side of her as the same as he would treat the good side of her. I think it's kind of a reminiscent situation of a show called Rosaria and plus Vampire or whatever the other part of it was. But it was pretty much a kid that you know he had no real magical powers and stuff, but at the same time, or he wasn't like a monster and things like that, but he didn't necessarily care what the people were around him. As long as he knew they were good people, he didn't mind being around them, and that's kind of what I'm feeling now with this series. Is there's probably going to be a lot of these quote unquote cursed people that have these really messed up things that happen to them after they come in contact with Fantasia. Um, but of course, Seth's going to accept them regardless because that's just he just seems like a good kid, So uh, definitely not the show for everyone. It kind of gives me that Hunter x Hunter feeling of just this happy-go-lucky kid who's really sees the great in everybody and not just some people, which is really good to see. But at the same time, it also feels like it's going to be one of his downfalls, many's of times until he truly learns, like, oh man, I probably can't trust him after they said so and so, like if they give him certain things that they do that's untrustworthy, he should believe that they're untrustworthy. But at this point, it doesn't seem like he would understand that very well. So that's the one thing I'm looking forward to is to see if he understands who to trust and who not to trust towards the end of this whole series. But if not, I think I think it's that much better that he has all these people that will be around him to pretty much give him the lowdown of like, okay, these people clearly don't have your best intentions at heart, and then at least give him the information that the people are bad or trying to do him dirty. instead of just, being completely surrounded by those types of people. So, really good episode. Kind of moving a lot slower than the first couple episodes, which, uh, to be fair, a lot of people drop series after things like this happen where it's just not going in the way that they planned or they wanted to see a lot more action and stuff like that. So they kind of just fall off the series. And if you are one of those people, or I'm not saying like that's a bad thing or whatever. Like whatever you like, So if you are one of those people, though, I have no problem still watching this show because I enjoy it, like, regardless of action or stuff like that. I love stories that are actually trying to teach me as much as they possibly can so I can enjoy everything that they're trying to put forth in the show. So, with all that being said, I can honestly see this show going very far, but at the same time, I can see it definitely not hitting everybody's like perspective of what they thought the show would be. So don't be surprised if some things in the show happens that you don't enjoy necessarily. It just means that the show can either improve in your eyes or you just want a different show all together. So with that, let me know how you guys are feeling about Radiant, if it is something you're watching, or like I said, if it's moving a little bit too slow for your taste and you're going to drop it, something like that. But overall, man, I have been thoroughly enjoying my time making these videos, and even though things don't go the best in the real world, you still got to make the best out of what you can in that world. So, thank you guys so much. You guys are the best thing, one of those best things that I can make out of in this real world. So, it feels good to at least be able to uh, talk about how I feel about these shows and know that some people actually might either feel the same, feel differently, and I get to have conversations about that with them. So that's enough for me. So with that, everybody, thank you so much. I will be back with more content, of course. So if you're ready for that, make sure you drop a like to let me know you enjoy what I'm doing, and subscribe so you can get more when I drop the content. So with that, everybody, take care and peace.